Thank you, first of all, for picking this talk for as the last of your day. I promise that I won't be long. Today's talk title is One Design System to Rule Them All, and it is a clear reference to the Ring of Power. For those who know the Lord of the Rings series, the Ring of Power that controlled all the others. Allow me to present myself. My name is Daniel Beleza. I'm Portuguese. I live in Portugal. I'm an Android developer and work for 1 year and a couple of months at OLX, and have more or less 4 years of experience as an Android developer. As the agenda for today, I want to present to you our OLX use case. In this sense, is just so that we are all in the same context and understand what problems do we need to identify. Then, in the third step, I'll share with you our architecture solution for our problems, and at the end, I'm going to show you some practical use cases, some snippets of code, and also some small demos. So, beginning with our product. OLX, I'm not sure if every one of you have seen our stand, but we are a company, a big group with lots of brands inside it. One of the most known are OLX and OLX Brazil. These brands divide themselves in some categories. This, for example, is like Gumtree here in the UK. It's like a classified apps, but then we also have another apps, for example, for the real estate market. And besides this, we also have the apps that I'm currently working on. That is the Automoto, Stand Virtual for Portugal, and Autovid. These are classified apps, but only focused on cars. All of these are parts of the Motors group, which is the group that I work on. So, what's the problem that we are trying to solve? We noticed in the beginning of the year that when new joiners came to our company, when they needed to create some components or to reference to some code, sometimes they would reinvent the wheel and would create some new button, some new dialogue fragment, some bottom sheet, some things like that. And we wanted to prevent the developer as much as we could from doing this. So we found out that we are duplicating lots of code that were completely unnecessary. Then, besides this, our product is kind of not old, but has at least 6 years in production, and we have lots of screens that got a bit forgotten. And with time, we tended to whenever we needed to mess with that screen, there wasn't a clear owner. So no one wanted to take the responsibility over the design, and we wanted to also solve that problem. Besides the developers or the problems that were happening in the developers teams, as many of you might also have, we had many meetings with the designer teams, either because there was a new component, there was some colors changing, even the theme, the fonts, the typography, and this led to some miscommunication some of the times. This led to many time wasted in meetings. We were always, and as you all know, time is money, especially in our job, and we wanted to also improve that. And basically, we wanted to find solutions first to improve the developer-designer relation efficiency, so to be more productive in this sense. We wanted to find a solution that didn't require the designers to have a really steep learning curve, so abstract them from learning new things, all for the developers, of course, to have clear ownership. And at the end, we were able to find some solutions that were out there and were already used by other companies, but none of them fitted our specific use case. So we needed to find a custom solution, and you will see when this custom part fits in our system. So we ended up creating a design system, but for all automated for all platforms. Not only for all platforms, but because OLX has so many brands, we wanted to create some code that could be reused by other client apps. Before I advance a bit more to our system, I believe most of you knows what the design system is, but I'll try to be really brief so that we can all be at the same page. So I found this quote that I find interesting that says, "A design system is a set of standards to manage design at scale by reducing redundancy while creating a shared language and visual consistency across different pages and channels." So in other words, this is basically a set of rules composed by a language. And this language, in other words, is a design token. And what is a design token? I found another explanation for this. Design tokens are all the values needed to construct and maintain a design system. So one cannot live without the other. Putting things a bit simpler, a design token is like a big box. Design tokens are like a big box of Lego pieces that we can just link them together and build walls, build a car, build wherever we want. In our case, to build components, to build like a section title, we can build like a list item wherever we need. There's lots of there's lots of possible combinations. We have buttons, like I mentioned, the list items, and the design tokens is basically a value. In this case, can be a color, and can be a simple value for defining our typography. Some projects use many design tokens. Some of them are these ones that I'm presenting. We decided to go with only 4 of them, at least in the first stage. We went with the colors, the units, fonts, and shadows. And all of these are able to build, with all of this, we are able to build our team. And basically, we just need to inject our team into our components, and automatically it will render the button with the properties that we need. So going into our architecture solution. This is a diagram that sums up our system and how it works. This is divided. We can divide it in 3 sections. I'm not sure if you all can read. Maybe it's a bit small for those in the back. Sorry for that. But in the first section, it says that's the design team framework. And in our case, we are using Figma for this. This layer then converts the data from Figma to JSON, and then we reached out to the second section, that is the design tokens generator. And in the third section, we have the client apps. In our case, it can be OLX, it can be one of those apps that I mentioned before. And if we can even zoom in a bit. So in the first section, if you remember, we had the design team framework. As I mentioned, we use Figma, and I think most of the frameworks for design, they have their specific files. In Figma, we have also the Figma files. And in this, I said that it wasn't a steep learning curve for designers, and that's mostly true. They just need to comply to some rules. They just need to build things in a certain manner, but this is all they need to know. They don't need to learn a new technology or anything like that. To convert this Figma component, so imagine we have, for example, the colors. We just needed to create a custom plugin. There was already, and this is the custom part that we found in the market. For example, if you research, you will find, for example, the Figma token plugin, and that's already a really mature framework. But this framework didn't converted the parameters as we needed, at least not for our use case. So we needed really a custom plugin for this. So we built it, And this plugin basically what it does is that it goes to a Figma file. It it picks the parameters of the components or the design tokens, and it converts to a JSON like this. That line that is highlighted in bold, that is an example of a design token name. If you notice closely, there's two more blocks below that. That's the light and the dark blocks. So when we built this, we wanted to have in mind that we could build this to have a dark theme and a light theme. Then we reach the second section, and this is where at least the most part of the magic happens. In this code generator, this is basically a Kotlin repository where we just parse the JSON and generate some code using Kotlin Poet library that's built from Square. And one really important thing is that we wanted to follow a dependencies diagram across all platforms. So we need to create these repositories, one for Android, one for iOS, and one for web. That is still in development. So that while we were scaling this system, we were always aligned, and there wasn't that much difference. If we zoom in even more, we have three repositories. These are the main ones. We have the foundations one, and this is where the colors, the units, the shadows, and the fonts live in. So basically, again, we receive the JSON, we parse the JSON, and we just generate it to simple static variables that can be referred to later in the client app. The same happens for the other repository, that is the icons repository. We just opted to have a separate one for the assets, but the logic is pretty same as the foundations one. And then we decided to have a third repository, and I think there are many projects at least that have one similar to this, and this is where we basically create a button or create some other reusable UI component into our app. This has a particularity that is it depends on the foundations. For example, if you have a button that needs some margins or a padding, you can get that from the foundations library. In the third section, in the client app, we can simply use this by injecting first the project theme. So in practice, and you will see it later, we just need to put an enum referring to the product that we need. It will initialize the theme once, it will generate the code, and then we can simply use the components, the icons or the design tokens. These are created and they live statically. Of course, there are some guidelines, but this responsibility is for each project. I would like to show you some code. So the Nexus theme is the one that I want you to focus on. The Nexus theme is a composable function. The examples that I'm going to show you is basically focused on Jetpack Compose. But while we were developing this system, we also had the legacy UI in mind. So all the properties, the design tokens don't depend on Android framework because of that, so that they can be manipulated and used as we want. So we have this Nexus theme composable function. We need to pass the context and the brand. Inside this function, we need to call, as I mentioned before, that initialize function once, and we get the theme. This will be really important because we wanted to create a custom composable theme. We were able to do that because of the composition local provider class. We basically need to initialize all the custom colors, the custom units, etc. Insert it here, and then finally we have an object, and this one is what is referred all across the project. We just need to refer to the theme, to mention if we want the colors, the units, and specify exactly what we needed. In this example, we are referring to the text global primary. We are reaching to the end. I promised that before that it wouldn't take long, so that you can join the party earlier. The typography, we have some demos to show you. For example, this list is all the font types that we have in our project. All of this is already working, and the font sizes, the line height, everything are part. All these configurations are part of our system. We also have one for the colors, one demo for the colors, and as you can, I'm not sure you see my mouth. You can see in the background brand primary color that we have different colors for light mode and dark theme mode, and you will see it in practice in this example. And this is this one is the one that I like the most, simply because we are changing the theme in runtime. So all the colors, all the typography, if that was the case, but mainly the colors will change, and we'll update our runtime app. So we were able to reach this solution for us. Of course, there are projects that need their specifications, maybe their own custom solutions. This is still a work in progress, and we are still scaling this a bit, trying to implement this in some of the brands. And we are reaching we are having some really good results. And yeah, that's basically it. This is what I wanted to present to you. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me now or later in the party. And that's it from me. Thank you, everyone.